must now turn the spirit of his words into action. The Senate must immediately set to work on the mission President Biden described, restoring the greatness and goodness of America. This will be an exceptionally busy and consequential period for the United States Senate. There is much to do, and we are ready to get to work. Now, not to upstage our new president and vice president, but theirs has not been the only swearing in today. A few moments ago, the Senate welcomed 3 new members to this chamber. I can now happily and proudly call them Senator Padilla, Senator Ossoff, Senator Warnock. They join Senators Kelly, Hickenlooper, and Lujan as part of a 6-member class of Democratic senators and a new Democratic Senate majority.
So just so you know what's going on, we are just now doing the swearing in of the new senators. And within the next 10 minutes here, we should see Biden in the White House preparing to sign the executive orders. And we'll probably get a preview of exactly what he's signing. We've already got an idea of what's coming, but we'll see if there's some new detail for us as well. Segregationists
is now the first African-American senator Georgia has ever elected, and that John Ossoff is the first Jewish senator from his state, sworn in today on a book of Hebrew scripture once owned by the rabbi who decades ago formed a bond between the Jewish and African-American communities of Georgia. As President Biden said in his inaugural address, "Don't tell me things can't change." With the swearing in of these 3 senators, the Senate will turn to Democratic control, for which I deeply thank my colleagues. We'll turn to Democratic control under the first New York-born majority leader in American history, a kid from Brooklyn, the son of an exterminator and a housewife, a descendant of victims of the Holocaust. That I should be the leader of this new Senate majority is an awesome responsibility. Awesome in the biblical sense, as the angels that trembled in awe before God. Today, I feel the full weight of that responsibility, a sense of reverence, of awe at the trust placed in me. I intend to honor that trust with all of my energy and with joy. And as the majority changes in the Senate will do business differently. The Senate will address the challenges our country faces head on and without delay, not with timid solutions, but with boldness and with courage. The Senate will tackle the perils of the moment, a once-in-a-generation health and economic crisis, and it will strive to make progress on generations-long struggle for racial justice, economic justice, equality of opportunity, and equality under the law. And make no mistake, the Senate will forcefully, consistently, and urgently address the greatest threat to this country and to our planet, climate change. This Senate will legislate. It will be active, responsive, energetic, and bold. And to my Republican colleagues,
it's big statements.
When and where we can, the Democratic majority will strive to make this important work bipartisan. The Senate works best when we work together. We have no choice. The challenges we face are great. The divisions in the country are real. We have no choice but to try to work together.
This is big, though. He's saying, basically, we'll try to work with you, or we'll use the 51 vote option.
So let us begin. I yield the floor.
Good opening talk here. So as we get a little transition here, this is now Senate Majority Leader. Oh, here's Senate Minority Leader McConnell.
Mr. President, today, before the American people and the world, the peaceful transfer of power that has helped define our nation for more than 230 years was carried out. We swore in the 46th President and the 49th Vice President of the United States. President Biden and Vice President Harris are both alumni of the U.S. Senate. They're well known to us in this chamber. They begin their terms with both challenges and opportunities before them, and with the prayers of our whole nation at their backs. President Biden made unity the major theme of his inaugural address. He pledged to be a president for all Americans, to work as hard for the many millions of Americans who did not support his candidacy as he will for the millions who did.
Oh,
So I congratulate my friend from Delaware. Look forward to working
Biden's up.
with him
Hold on.
as our new president, wherever possible. Our country deserves
He's just doing
for
an intro
both
right now.
sides, both parties, to find common ground for the common good everywhere that we can, and disagree respectfully where we must. Last fall, the American people chose to elect.
Okay.
a
All right.
narrowly
So he's going to mostly focus on, hey, we're going to do our best to do bipartisan work. Let's go ahead and jump on over here for a second to Biden, and let's listen into his stream because he's going to be doing a lot of signing. Okay. Stand by 1 second here. Okay. Biden's coming live.
trust.
Okay.
Earlier.
Hold on 1 second here. Let me see here.
Legislation for a lot of the things we're going to do. And the first order I'm going to be signing here is,
Hold on a sec. Give me 1 second here. Make sure I got the stream correct, because I think I have two streams up. I just want to make sure. Could you hear him? Could you just give me a quick audio check that when I had it up, you were able to hear him? So we're going to go back to him right now.
second one I'm signing here is the support
Thank you.
for underserved communities. And we're going to already, we have, going to make sure we have some bedrock equity, equality as relates to how we treat people and healthcare and other things. And you can, we'll give you copies of these.
Pretty low.
And the third
Oh, sorry.
is a commitment I made that we're going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as of today.
Paris Climate Accord.
Thank you.
Mr. President, what did President Trump write to you?
You guys, let's go, please, let's go.
The President
Come on, you guys.
wrote a very generous letter. I have, it's because it was private, I will not talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous.
Okay, guys, let's go, let's go, we're joining. Come on, you guys, let's go, let's go, let's go, you guys, come on, let's go. Let's go, you guys.
Wait, what? Was there just too much press freaking out? We'll go back to McConnell then. What was that? That was like the press steamrolling Biden. Like, what? And all you hear is this lady going, "Come on, you guys." All right, let's go back to the Senate then. Wow, that was interesting.
Read about rancor on television, radio, and print. They never speak about how senators get along. We've seen a peaceful transfer of leadership position in the United States Senate from a senator from
Senator
Kentucky.
Chuck Grassley
to a
talking
senator
in the
in
well
New
of the
York.
Senate, and he's been there for about 4 decades, and he's saying the fourth estate, that would be the media, hasn't talked about them working together. Let's talk about them working together and what's coming up, because they will not always be working together. Nathaniel Reed covers Congress for us here
Okay.
at Newsy.
All right, so I'm a little confused, honestly. I have to say, but Biden had a whole stack of executive orders there to sign. He literally had like 10 folders, and he was going through them, and then all of a sudden he gets raided by the media, and they just kicked everybody out and canceled. Like, they kicked out their own White House videographer. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Inauguration, and it was full of people who came to protest the winner of that election. This Biden inauguration was different in that respect. But this year, just like 4 years ago, there are Americans who questioned the election outcome and did not want the inauguration to proceed. Since Election Day, I have urged Americans to have faith in our constitutional system and let the Constitution work the way it has for 240 years, work its course. Today was the culmination of that process. Like 4 years ago, I know that many Americans are not happy
Here,
with
what we can do for a second, just because I feel like we didn't get a good glimpse of what happened here. It really only lasted like 3 minutes, which was shocking. But let's at least listen to what Biden said as he got started here. So let's just jump back for a second to Biden for a moment, and let's understand at least the 3 minutes that we got before we got cut off. Because look, he got through 3 binders here, all or folders or whatever. Let's just listen to the beginning here.
Well, this is going to be the first of many engagements we're going to have in here. And I thought with the state of the nation today, there's no time to waste, get to work immediately. As we've indicated earlier, we're going to be signing a number of executive orders over the next several days of the week. And I'm going to start today on the compounding crisis of COVID, COVID-19, along with the economic crisis following that, and climate crisis, racial equity issues. And, you know, some of the executive actions I'm going to be signing today are going to help change the course of the COVID crisis. And we're going to combat climate change in a way that we haven't done so far, and advance racial equity and support other underserved communities. We're going to rebuild our economy as well. And these are just all starting points. We're going to, in the process of rebuilding the economy, do what I said throughout the campaign and while running rebuild the backbone of the country, middle class. And so there's going to be a lot of focus on that. And I think some of the things we're going to be doing are going to be bold and vital. And there's no time to start like today. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm proud of today's executive actions. I'm going to start by keeping the promises I made to the American people. A long way to go. These are just executive actions. They are important, but we're going to need legislation for a lot of the things we're going to do. And the first order I'm going to be signing here relates to COVID, and it's requiring, as I said all along, where I have authority, mandating masks be worn, social distancing be kept on federal property, on interstate commerce, et cetera. So this is the first one I'm signing.
Okay, so number 1 was mask mandates.
And the second one I'm signing here is the support for underserved communities. And we're going to going to make sure we have some bedrock equity, equality as relates to how we treat people in healthcare and other things. And we'll give you copies of these executive orders. And the third one I'm going to sign, and that's what I'm going to do while you're all here, is the commitment I made that we're going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as of today. Thank you.
Mr. President, what did President Trump write to you?
You guys, let's go, please, let's go.
The President
Come on, you guys.
wrote a very generous letter. It's because it was private, I will not talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous.
Okay, guys, let's go.
This is when they kick all the press out. He puts the pen away. Biden's kind of looking like shocked, like, look at all these people here. And then they end that stream. Like, you had a whole stack of them, but he only signed 3 of them. So I'm still a little bit confused by that. Why? Okay, so we got mask mandates on federal property. We got support for underserved communities. We got the Paris Climate Accord. These have not been updated yet on the White House website. Executive order. So I'll just double check though. In the meantime, we just had the swearing in the Senate. We saw a statement from Mitch McConnell, the new minority leader. We saw a statement from Chuck Schumer, the new majority leader. And listening in, there's nothing to listen to right now over in Congress. So that's what we got right now. I'm actually surprised. Let's jump over for a second to like Fox or something. Just make sure we didn't miss anything because that was way too short. This is just talking heads.
You know, it's funny. While you were talking, I kind of started thinking about how many inaugurations I've been on this planet for 19 inaugurations, and this is still.
Okay. I don't care, dude. Like, tell me about the executive orders. And they're on commercial. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome to the first day. Nobody knows what's going on. Later, there is supposed to be a press briefing as well. The first press briefing ever in the White House under a Biden administration.
Working on campaigns and in White Houses myself, that what shows to the public is always the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and I worry that, you know, at this point, you now have the governor of Florida calling what Joe Biden wants to do FEMA camps. So there are leave behind versions of Donald Trump.
So now we're really just getting partisan talk. Okay, all right. So, well, here's what we've got right now. We've got Schumer really looking at McConnell and pointing out to McConnell and saying, look, we will strive to be bipartisan. But Schumer made it really, really clear that the Senate will forcefully, consistently, and urgently address the greatest threats to our planet, or the greatest threat to our planet, climate change, along with racial and economic justice. Schumer really pushing for the fact that they will be legislating and they're going to get work done. We'll see. Oh, let's hear what they say here.
As we've indicated earlier, we're going to be signing a number of executive orders.
So this is just a sort of a replay of what we just saw. We'll see if there's any commentary after that. But yeah, I think a lot of people are a little surprised about, like, dude, why do you have a whole stack if you're only going to sign 3 of them? So looking for a little bit more insight on this. Mitch McConnell, we saw him speak, but we saw him speak briefly because then we jumped on over to Biden. McConnell mostly started with saying, hey, you know, look forward to working with the other side as I can. But honestly, he doesn't have a lot of power right now. We also didn't see that classic holdup that we famously had with Donald Trump, where he would take a picture with the executive order, would also let us read the darn thing. But we didn't get that. Let's see if they add any commentary afterwards here. Maybe we'll get some more insight into what happened.
Some of the things we're going to be doing are bold and vital, and there's no time to start like today. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm proud of
I don't want to bore you by replaying the same thing because you could go back like 2 minutes and watch the same thing. So what I want to pull up quickly here is a letter from Chuck Schumer. So Chuck Schumer just released a statement. We obviously saw him live, but he's got a statement as well. So we may as well take a quick peek at that while we wait to see if there's any commentary that gets added here. But let's pull that up really quickly. So we got a statement here. Over the last 4 years, the previous administration took enormous steps backwards. It's a pretty big slam here at Trump. One of the first things we must do is undo the Trump regression. Yikes, those are big statements. And executive orders are one of the most effective tools to accomplish that. We must use every tool in our toolbox, including executive orders, tailor-made to quickly undo some of the most egregious policies of the previous administration, or what the previous administration implemented, to address the multiple crises we face, deliver immediate relief to American families, and put us back on a path to a more prosperous and equitable future. From reversing the heinous Muslim ban, which is generally called a travel ban by those on the other side, and inhumane family separation policies, to re-entering the Paris Climate Accord, mitigating the spread of COVID, and accelerating vaccine distribution, the executive orders announced by the Biden-Harris administration today are just the beginning. All right. Well, in the meantime, again, I would love to hear a little bit of talking head commentary on these executive orders. He has now signed the third one. This is where the press shoos him off. Let's see if we get some MSNBC commentary here. Give us some quality.
I will talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous.
President, view on climate change. You were rejoining Paris Agreement, and you mentioned Brazil.
You guys, come on, let's go. Concerns about let's go, you guys. Press, let's go, let's go.
The familiar sound of the folks in the press office shepherding the pool out of the Oval Office. I believe that's the first time we've seen, that is the first time we've seen a president sitting behind the Resolute desk wearing a mask. President Biden announcing that one of the first executive orders he'd sign was mandating mask wearing and social distancing on
he's doing it.
Properties. I want to bring into our conversation Jeremy Bash on 2 topics. Jeremy, it's great to have you with us. One, this stack of executive orders,
yes.
And Incoming Chief of Staff Ron Klain has been tweeting out some of the others that have been signed. This is a team very well versed and skilled in the functions of government. Just talk about these first orders, what they mean, and the significance of the things that a president does first.
Well, the way Ron Klain has laid this out is it's going to be an initial 10-day flurry of activity. And you saw the initial stack of executive orders and the pens that were arrayed in front of the president on the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. And I'm just pinching myself to think that Joe Biden is sitting in that office as the 46th president, because what he's doing from day one is he's making good on the promises he campaigned on. And he's signing executive orders to combat COVID, to deal with the economic crisis, to deal with climate change, to deal with racial equity, a number of issues, imposing real ethical standards on his administration, even as his predecessor waives all ethics rules for his team going out the door.
Okay, so some of it is a little partisan here, but I got a list here. So this was retweeted by Ron Klain right here. So 17 executive orders today. National mask mandate, we got that one. Establish a White House COVID-19 team. Okay. I always thought we had one. Maybe he means like the Biden version of that, but okay. Cease withdrawal from the World Health Organization. So basically rejoin that, okay. Restore National Security Pandemics Office. Right, because Donald Trump did close that down. Extend pause on student loan payments and interest. Okay, we did hear that that was going to be something that was coming, that there was going to be a pause on student loan payments and interest. How long is a question. There's some belief that we might see a pause through the end of March, and some say, no, it's going to go right through the end of September. We'll see, although we did hear just now, what is this? Hold on. I've had conversations with the Biden team. I think they're ready to, okay, yeah, no. They're ready to embrace centrism. That's a lot of what we've actually been seeing. So Biden's really been talking about, hey, trying to cater to that middle of the road direction sort of in Congress, which will be really interesting to see how much power they end up giving McConnell. But anyway, yeah, so we'll see either these student loan payments and interest get extended until the end of March or September. Rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. We did see one of those, that one get signed. Government agency review focus on equity. This kind of just tells everybody to make sure you're not racist or, gender unneutral. I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, extend the federal eviction moratorium. Same thing there. We're kind of expecting end of March for an executive order, and then probably Congress to push that through. And then we've got preserve and fortify DACA, rescind census orders to exclude non-citizens. Okay, got it. So we would be counting people who are non-citizens. Revoke the Muslim ban and rescind the 1776 Commission, which, by the way, there used to be a webpage up for the 1776 Commission on the website. But now if you Google 1776 Commission, it actually comes up as error 404. We'll try it really quick. White House 1776 Commission. So let's see here. And then we'll see what other commentary there is. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So here it is. 1776 Commission takes historic and scholarly step, comprised of America's most distinguished scholars and historians, has released a report presenting a definitive chronicle of the American founding and powerful description of the effects of the Declaration of Independence and so on and so forth, and arguments in that. But anyway, now if you click on it, it goes to 404. So it's really like they kicked out a lot of stuff. All right, let's see if they say anything on these executive orders.
Everybody who could count, anybody who could do math, saw the scale of Biden's victory, both in terms of the popular vote and the Electoral College. And so that big lie fueled the most significant threat to our democracy.
Okay, if we're going to be partisan, I'm going to jump. I'm just looking for information. We just want information. Well, let's see. These guys are a little... sometimes they got good info,
sent a very powerful message
sometimes they can also be very one-sided, so we got to be careful.
400,000 plus people dead. So that's quite a contrast to what we saw previously. But, to this point about the executive orders, I just want to say, I think one of the weakness of Trump using so many executive orders is that they can be done away with the stroke of a pen by the next president as he signs an executive order. The president just said he ran on this. These were his promises, his pledges to people who voted for him, and he is fulfilling that promise. If there's any weakness on the unity front, and I hear everybody saying, well, he said he was going to try to unify. How can he unify? Listen, policy differences in America are not a basis for division and disunity and discord.
Let's jump on over really quick back to let's see if we've got anything else going on. NPR, in the meantime, has just tweeted that Biden has signed the first of 17 planned executive actions on his first day in office. I guess I don't understand why you would only sign 3 and not all of them at the same time. But NPR is now reiterating that Biden does plan to sign all 17 on his first day in office. Like, if you got all the media there, like, why 2 times? Okay, so we got 3 signed so far. The Senate is still talking, so we can jump on over to see what the Senate is saying to see if we can get some more information there. There was also another update from Bloomberg, and this came from within the White House here. It says here we go. Biden's team is concerned the pandemic is spiraling out of control due to a new virus strain and vaccine stumbles by the Trump admin. Okay, well, I guess we'll see how they handle that. All right, let's jump back over to the Senate to see if we could find any interesting commentary on what's going on with the next steps regarding stimulus or relief in general. Okay.
All around the United States, including 260 from the state of Illinois, I'm very proud to announce. They did their job and did it well. I thank them for their service and sacrifice and separation from their families. But at the same time, we were facing a deadly virus. In the midst of a global pandemic, today's celebration had.
I do see that the White House has another stream up
where they sat and where they
for Biden swears in day 1 presidential appointees, but they're not actually there yet. So I will keep an eye on this. Just so you know, this is where it is. So this is live with the White House. I have that up, and so I will keep that up while we listen to Dick Durbin here.
Of their race or ethnicity, but because they embrace America's values. Never before in American history have those ideals been tested as they have been in the last 4 years. A hallmark of the former administration was a relentless attack on immigrants. One of the main targets were the very dreamers that I spoke to President Trump about. Young immigrants came to the United States as children. Mr. President, I ask the Senate be called to order.
The Senate is not in order. Please take your conversations elsewhere.
He's pissed because people are talking. I mean, fair. Should be quiet while someone's speaking.
Of Indiana, on a bipartisan basis, to call on President Obama to use his legal authority to protect dreamers from deportation. Our argument was simple. These young people were brought to the United States as children. Their parents made the decision to come here. They grew up here, went to school here, pledged allegiance to that very flag every day in their classrooms, and believed they were part of this country. Usually sometime in their teenage years, their parents sat down with them and told them the grim reality. They have no country, not the one they left, nor the one that they currently live in. And so I introduced legislation 20 years ago, the DREAM Act, in an effort to give them a chance to earn their way to legal status and citizenship. But I've been unable to enact that into law in both the House and the Senate in any given year. I've been stymied and stopped by the filibuster too many times. But President Obama knew that. When he was a senator here, before being elected to president, he was a co-sponsor of my DREAM Act. So I knew where his heart was, and I appealed to him. Could he do something? And he did. He created DACA. DACA, by executive order, provided temporary protection from deportation to dreamers if they register with the government, pay a fee, pass a criminal national security background check. They could have a temporary right to work here in the United States and be free from deportation. More than 800,000 dreamers came forward with President Obama's DACA. DACA unleashed the full potential of these dreamers who are contributing to our country this very day as soldiers, teachers, business owners. In the midst
while he's talking about DACA, I just want to remind you we are waiting for President Biden to start streaming here.
Essential infrastructure workers during this pandemic. That wasn't my designation. It was the designation of the Trump administration. Among those essential workers are 41,700 DACA recipients in the healthcare industry, doctors, intensive care nurses, paramedics, and respiratory therapists. Well, on September 5th of 2017, former President Trump repealed DACA. Hundreds of thousands of Dreamers faced losing their work permits and being deported to countries.
In the meantime, I just want to quickly put this up. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, the former FDA commissioner, he's so right here, to offer people better protection from contagious variants of COVID, especially Americans at higher risk because of age or infirmities. I guess that's a fancy way of saying underlying conditions. We should try to get them higher quality masks. A year into the crisis, we should be able to source these for more people. He's not wrong about that. It's kind of surprising that we still don't have enough of those going around.
President Joseph Biden signed an executive order to restore DACA. I am eternally grateful for President Biden's courage and commitment in keeping his word. Without DACA, hundreds of thousands of talented young people who've grown up in our country cannot continue their work and risk deportation every single day. But the resumption of DACA is just the first step toward long overdue justice for Dreamers. Only legislation passed by Congress can provide a path to citizenship to the Dreamers. I first introduced the Bipartisan DREAM Act 20 years ago, as I mentioned, and I'll continue to do so until it becomes the law of the land. I am honored that I have the chance to serve as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee in the 117th Congress. As a child of an immigrant myself, I never dreamed that I'd be blessed with the opportunity to lead the committee that writes our nation's immigration laws. To all of the Dreamers out there, I've told you many times, I've never given up on you. Don't give up on me. I'm going to pass the DREAM Act. Over the years, I've come to the floor with the most persuasive approach I can think of to pass the DREAM Act and make it the law of the land. I tell their stories. These stories show what's at stake when we consider DACA and the DREAM Act. It is not a theory. It is not just a law. These are real human lives. Today, I want to tell you about Hina Navid. She's the 127th Dreamer whose story I've told.
And while he goes into the story, I just want to remind you, we are waiting for Biden to come back on a stream here. And in the meantime, I will keep trying to pull up the 3 executive orders that we have, just so you know, as a quick recap, we have 3 executive orders that were signed so far. One on mask mandates on federal property, which we saw Biden wearing a mask in the Oval Office, support for underserved communities, and the Paris Climate Accord. There's still another like 14 to 16 of these to sign today, so we'll see.
Club. She graduated as salutatorian of her class, ranked second out of 350 students with a 4.0 GPA. She received the Outstanding Vocational Student for Health Careers Award and overall Outstanding Vocational Student Award. She went to the City University of New York, College of Staten Island, Associate's degree in Liberal Arts and Nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, studied at CUNY Law School, where she graduated with a law degree. And thanks to DACA, Hina became a registered nurse. She worked as director of health services for a nonprofit community-based organization in New York. Her department provides healthcare services for children in foster care, many of whom are victims of medical neglect. She's also a member of the New York City Medical Reserve Corps. At the height of the pandemic, she volunteered on weekends at a hospital and at a residential facility with COVID-19 patients. Hina wrote to me about her plans. I want to work on health policy reform on a local and state level in an effort to achieve health quality for all. This pandemic has highlighted health disparities that long existed. I want to be part of making change. I want to see it and experience it. Here's what Hina said about DACA and what it meant to her. DACA has been life-changing. It has allowed me to drive a car, work, achieve fiscal independence, continue higher education, contribute to my community more than I could otherwise. However, it is temporary, and with the benefits it provides, it casts a shadow over my life. I have to plan my life in 2-year increments. Well, let me start by saying thank you to her, to Hina Navid for her service on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic. All of us are in awe of our healthcare heroes.
We're still on standby for Biden.
Healthcare hero. She is a DACA healthcare hero. She has put herself and her family at risk to protect others. She also shouldn't have to worry about being.
You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump really quick. Let's just go in between and see what else is being talked about while we wait for Biden to come. And then we can always jump back to Biden. But we may as well listen to some commentary in the meantime and comment on it. But not a TV ad. we got to have some commentary. Like, give us some interviews or something good.
Of course, we all saw how those briefings went with them, but we are going to get another briefing with the press secretary today. It's the first time we've gotten one from Jen Psaki, that is the new White House press secretary for Joe Biden, and she's going to be taking reporters' questions just here in a short time. And then, Wolf, we're actually going to see the president again later on this evening. That's when he and the first lady will come out of the residence part of the White House on that blue room balcony, where they are going to be, cameras will be there on the South Lawn waiting for them to come out. That's the first time we'll see them come from the South Lawn of the residence, where you saw President Trump leave the White House earlier today. So it's about 5:30. We still have a lot more to go, though, on this schedule for the new president today, Wolf.
It's been a very long day already for the new president, and it's still a lot to do before he wraps things up.
A lot more signing to do.
You know, we see that Marine Guard standing outside the door at the over at the West Wing of the White House. That means that the president of the United States is working. He's not in the residence.
Right. We covered the White House together for quite a long time. Back in the Clinton administration, I stayed on for some.
Okay, we'll jump over. Let's see what else is going on. Still expecting Biden here for their stream, but we will stay on standby. It looks like we get a bunch of ads in the meantime, so we'll go back and we'll just may as well add commentary together here on CNN.
Democrat or Republican. We were focused mostly on the Capitol earlier today. Now we're looking at the new president in his early hours at the White House in one of the shrines of America's democracy. Again, we're going to have a lot of partisan fights. We're going to have a lot of policy arguments, many more policy debates than we had during the Trump administration, because this president has an active agenda. But we should also take some time today just to respect the institutions.
I don't know. I have to say, I feel like that was almost a little bit of a slam, saying that Trump didn't have an active agenda. I mean, he had his own set of priorities as well. But yeah, I mean, Biden's got a lot of things that he wants to get done, and he's going to need a lot of bipartisan support to actually get everything done that he wants to get done and the way that he wants to. So we'll see if that works. I think if he just goes plowing through, going for the 51 votes, it's going to be a little tougher to keep Mitch McConnell at least remotely happy.
Coming up this week, starting, of course, with the number one issue facing the country right now, the coronavirus pandemic. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I welcome John's corniness, by the way. I mean, what a celebration of America. But for people who voted for Biden or not today, it was a celebration and an invitation for all of America to participate in this experiment. So I join you in that, John. Wolf, you're right. They are going to separate out sort of messages each day of what they can accomplish before those big, huge policy fights that John is talking about that will largely take place on Capitol Hill in terms of executive action. Tomorrow is COVID. Then you're going to see economic relief come on Friday.
This is interesting.
January 25th next week, the Buy America agenda that Biden laid out in his campaign. Equity and inclusion efforts will be next week, as well as will climate, healthcare, immigration. As we know, they're sending a bill to the Hill, trying to open up a pathway to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants here. That'll certainly be a big policy battle up on the Hill. And then in February, we know this will be a big part also, no doubt, of his address to the joint session of Congress in February.
Just going to quickly say this is interesting. So we'll see what they end up doing. So tomorrow's COVID. Then we've got economic relief scheduled for Friday. It'll be interesting to see, are they holding daily press conferences? That might be what they're doing. That's what they did last time, or over the last 3 weeks-ish. Biden would have these regular press conferences. He'd come out, he'd have his staff there, and he'd say, all right, today we're talking about this. And he'd make it very clear what the priorities are in sort of a public statement. Obviously, there are private discussions that go along with these, but there's always some kind of public statement, which is nice because, look, the more communication we get, we are in a national emergency after all, the more communication we get, the better.
Getting the vaccine distribution process up and running to a place and getting the economy rebuilt through his $1.9 trillion package that obviously we've seen an economy in tatters in many ways due to COVID. So it is the immediate challenge in front of them, but it is also going to be the measuring stick here because everything's going to go through COVID initially for this administration. It's unclear in these divided times, Wolf, if Joe Biden's going to get much of a real honeymoon. And yet, if he can and his team wrap his arms around this COVID crisis, actually stem the spread, get that vaccine process up and running in a more dramatic fashion than it has been to date, he may buy himself some goodwill with the American people and give himself a runway for the rest of his agenda. On the other hand,
I think the best way to get some goodwill with the American people is to get some SHI you know what, done. Like, get something done. We are sick and tired of sitting around watching stuff not get done.
Was separated and detained right here in Otay. Gives me the chills to say it, in the Otay Mesa Detention Center along the border. And so today, what the Biden administration needs to do is both rely on people who have been doing this for quite some time, number one, but number two, just defer to those experts at this point. And so they got to put those experts in place. They got to both search domestically for the parents and children that they cannot find. They have to bring back and find a mechanism to bring back, if they're willing to do so, the families that are in Central America. And the questions there are, is it a U visa? Were these migrants victims of literally a crime by the United States government? Are they going to be paroled back to the United States with a humanitarian visa? There are lots of options. It is now on the incoming operators in the Biden administration to sort of figure out exactly how to do that. But it's anything but impossible. The Trump administration just didn't want to do it.
We will stay on this.
Okay, here we go. Just in. Okay, so this apparently not. This didn't apparently happen publicly, given that Biden is not streaming anywhere. But this just in. Biden signs an executive order to stop border wall work, which might be why they were just standing in front of the border wall. But that is just in. So and then we were expecting that to come, but all border wall work has now been stopped. But the contract with the construction company was already paid to build. So basically, they paid for the wall, but they're going to stop building the wall. I don't know. Like, that seems like a... when I heard they're going to stop the construction of the wall, personally, I thought they were talking about, we're going to stop the construction of the wall so we could save some freaking money. Because maybe Biden doesn't want the wall. He wants to save some money. Okay, all right. That you got that power. But wait, it's already paid and you're going to stop it? I don't know. Is there any reason not to finish it then? Maybe I'm missing something. But okay.
Oh, wait, it wasn't Republicans. Hey, Jesse, this is why when we look at this stuff, you cannot trust this industry that we are in. Is the lead, because you watch them just transform their belief system or their mentality depending on the party.
This guy's so jaded. The one who was just talking, so jaded, and I think it goes with the sort of what he gives off. But there's a lot of jade, and look, some of the actually probably a good chunk of the Fox and the CNN folks. I mean, they're really good ones, but some of them are less jaded. Let's put it that way. And I'm not saying wrong or right. I'm just saying jade level.
Taking on his first day in office. There's a lot of choice because there are far more than 17 areas of disagreement between President Biden and former President Donald Trump. I've got to get used to saying all that. So I'm sure a lot of thought went into what shall we prioritize on day one? COVID, an absolute no-brainer. I find it interesting that the additional attention is on climate and on immigration. And I think they're probably wise choices. Final observation I'll make is that I'm sure that President Biden, himself a product of a Senate career, would rather be going a legislative route, but in a 50-50 deadlock, probably not a reality.
Nia, he said, the President Biden said that one of the executive orders he was signing would deal with the underserved communities as far as healthcare is concerned. What's your understanding what he means by that?
That was confusing.
If you look at what has happened with COVID, we see what the underserved communities are. They are Black and brown communities. Some of those communities don't necessarily have a pharmacist nearby, don't necessarily have a hospital nearby, and you see the terrible effects on those communities. With the death rates are really hitting those communities hardest. We're up to 3,000 or 4,000 deaths a day, 400,000 American deaths from COVID so far. So if you are this White House to get COVID under control, you really need to figure out how do you have an all hands on deck approach to getting vaccines to those communities primarily, and just fixing this rollout that has been just so terrible. Also PPE and all the ways in which these communities have been harmed greatly, not only in terms of
I understand where they're going with that. So basically it's an executive order to say, hey, agencies, because remember, executive orders are like guidance for agencies. Hey, agencies, just a reminder, focus on Black and brown communities as well as the white communities and other communities. So Ron Klein is now saying that Biden has now signed a number of executive orders keeping the promises. Climate, COVID, racism, and the economy. So far, we only have 3 that we're on 4 now. So we've got the mask mandate that we saw, support for underserved communities we saw, Paris Climate Accord that we saw, press briefing coming up, so that'll be cool. And we just saw the we heard that the border wall executive order was signed. Okay. So let's jump on over. Let's see what other news we can get. There will be a press briefing later on as well, beyond just this signing in ceremony. Let's double check the timing there.
Audio issues fixed. We'll speak to him about the day's events.
Okay, they got audio issues, no problem. So White House. See, White House has a YouTube channel too, but they don't have commentary. So we had a press briefing scheduled. I want to say the press briefing is scheduled for 4. So I don't know. We're supposed to see Biden 3 minutes ago. Yeah. Okay. So 4 o'clock California time, we're supposed to see a press briefing. That'll be the first one by Jen Psaki. So Jen Psaki will have her press briefing in about an hour and 12 minutes. Right now, there is supposed to be a Biden swearing in event. Congress, or the Senate rather, has so far left. We're getting these incremental updates on these executive orders being signed. Still confused why Biden didn't just sign all of them at the same time. Okay, let's see. Oh, yep, okay. Terminating the national emergency that justified the construction of the border wall. So that's how they did it. Okay, so Biden's border wall executive order was terminating the, quote, national emergency that justified the construction of the border wall. So I don't know, does that actually have the impact of stopping construction of the wall? I mean, I understand justifying the construction, but it's already been paid for. So that'll be interesting to see as well. Are we going to continue to see the wall get built because it's already been paid for? Or is the company going to make out like a bandit and not have to keep building, but still have gotten paid? Everything right now is on commercial. Got nothing to jump to. We'll see if y'all have any questions here. I know that, there was a question, and I wanted to talk about this. Thank you, by the way. Somebody actually donated $5 for this, and I wanted to answer this. Do you think the $1,400 is a done deal? And do you think we'll get it by the end of the month? The answer is no and no. That is, I definitely think we have a ways to go in negotiations. We aren't really close right now. And I would say the odds are if we get $1,400, we'll probably get them closer to the middle of March. The Democrats right now are aiming for the end of February. I know there are a ton of memes right now on Twitter that are like, all right, 12 o'clock came and went. $1,400 ain't in my bank account. What's going on? And I get that. But yeah, no, they're thinking end of Feb. And that's what Democrats are hoping for. And hopes and realities can be very different sometimes. Then we will see if it'll actually get done again by the end of February. If not, it would be the middle of March. There is a pretty good drop dead date that it needs to get done by, and that's going to be the end of March. So that's really when we'll have plowed over a fiscal cliff. Congress goes on vacation again or recess again. So, we'll see if that ends up happening or what ends up happening. Okay, so it looks like right now the Senate is adjourned. We've got no Biden for this swearing in, which we're expecting Biden for this swearing in. The White House has had this up, and I get it. It's their first day at work. So maybe they're still working out the kinks, you know what I mean? But the live stream has been starting soon for about 38 minutes now. So let's go ahead and jump on over and see if we've got any interesting commentary we can hear here. Sometimes we can. Again, I'm jumping between Fox and CNN, although right now we've got more opinion talk on Fox, and we've gotten some facts out of here.
Property. So obviously, he wants to make the point that is his number one focus. On a practical basis, how much impact will those have?
Okay, this is opinion 2.
Well, they will certainly have impact. It's just that it will take some time. When you look at a federal buildings and federal workers mask mandate, you're talking maybe a couple of million people. Federal lands make up about 25% of the overall land in the country. Obviously, a lot of people at home right now, but it will make a difference. Masks in some ways could make a quicker difference, a speedier difference than even vaccinations, which is something he's talked about for his COVID rescue plan overall. with the World Health Organization, I mean, this is an important step, not only to rejoin, or at least not, leave the World Health Organization, but also to join the global vaccination effort. One thing that we keep getting reminded of is that an infection anywhere in the world is an infection everywhere in the world. So the idea of being part of a program that helps support vaccination efforts, especially in low-income countries, is really important. So
that's not a terrible argument here that a vaccine or an infection somewhere is an infection everywhere. Donald Trump obviously left the World Health Organization, arguing that why was the United States spending so much money for the World Health Organization when the World Health Organization was providing less benefits to the U.S. than the U.S. was providing, which is true. The richer nations tend to get sort of leaned on to provide help to the poorer nations. Let's see what kind of commentary we got here.
Said it many times, including when I was sat in for you on Monday, an inauguration like no other, this fortified camp, 25,000 National Guard troops, all of the strangeness of the social distancing and the masks and everything else. And yet, the thing that was to me so striking about today was that kind of comforting sense, even with the masks, even with the distancing, even without the crowd, those shots inside Statuary Hall that we're familiar with, from every inauguration.
Okay, so while we see if Biden's going to come out, if Biden doesn't come out in the next few minutes, we might just circle back for that press conference. But there is a question about, is Biden undoing Trump's import tax from China? A lot to be seen there. We don't know the answer to that yet. So we still have a lot of work to do with China, as you're saying here in the comments. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do or to see what the plan is for China. The same is true for mortgage forbearance. Honestly, we still don't know whether mortgage forbearance is going to get extended. We do know that foreclosures have already been extended. Foreclosures got extended, I think, through the end of March. That was an update that came out earlier today. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Any other questions that you might have? Let's see. Yeah, so the $300 boost has started in a lot of areas, but not everywhere. So stay tuned. Some states are still waiting for that $300 boost. Okay, let's see. Yes, and if you watch the videos, there are unfortunately scammer comments sometimes in the comments section. It's all over YouTube right now. Like every channel is getting them. They try to get you to PayPal and Cash App them, like Bitcoin and stuff. Be very, very careful. You should always look for a verified check mark for comments or when I respond to comments. Okay, so I don't know that right now we've got anything else. So we got a little bit. We saw Biden do 3 executive orders out of 17. I know we were expecting much more. We got some talk going on here. Let's see if this is of interest.
Executive orders. Bill Clinton, just a couple. So it's really a sign of the times. And it's 2 things. One, if you're President Biden, you want to signal right away that you want to set a different standard, a different tone, a different direction than his predecessor. And he does that with an executive order. And it's also a sign on the virus that's so important, is to signal that the federal government is going to set a different direction in terms of federal coordination with the states, that it's not going to be sent out to the states, kind of delegated to the states to make their own rules. There's going to be a lot more coordination. So that's different. The other piece is,
well, we'll see what happens.
Move slowly. And there's difficult politics. So modern.
Yeah. And that's something we've been talking about too, is that Congress does move slowly, and so does government in general. So we'll see what actually ends up happening. Are all those books executive orders? Yes, they were. And yeah, they did. They actually overnight they had a whole crew hanging pictures of Biden and the family from Delaware and all that. They decorated the entire White House last night. Probably not overnight, actually. It was probably right after Donald Trump left. They came in with all the pictures. But last night, all the White House was bare. All of the walls in the White House were patched, or all the paintings were removed to prepare for Biden paintings and photos and all that. Let's quickly see if there's any last-minute commentary here.
Recount of the letter in the desk from the former president to the current president. I was recalling that Ronald Reagan left a card for George H.W. Bush, and it had an elephant, a Republican elephant on it, with turkeys attached. And what he wrote was, "Don't let the turkeys get you down." I thought that was pretty cool at the time.
It's a great tradition, and it's a lot of fun to report and get to read, I guess, the
Joe Biden's going to talk to Trump and see if Trump will allow him to release the letter. And it's probably written in Sharpie, and it's probably all caps, and we'll all get a great kick out of that. But the media is setting themselves up for a spectacular fall here. And let me explain why.
All right. Don't care. Sorry. No, I really don't care.
A big normal inaugural, and there would be balls today. And look, in normal.
No. Okay, it seems like the news has run out of news, and now they're literally just going off onto their typical, you know, stir the pot news. So come back in about an hour, and we will see the first ever press conference from a Biden administration, from the Biden administration. So we'll see what happens. We'll also hear news once the other executive orders get done. There is talk, as I see it in comments here, there is talk about executive orders coming for SNAP program benefits relief and possibly some other stimulus-related measures, certainly forbearance being one of the possibilities, evictions, foreclosure protections, and extending those. We'll see. But anywho, thank you so much for being here in this stream, folks. I will see you in the next video. Thanks again. We'll see you. Bye.